Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 for a silly car build. My vehicle today is the Porsche 356A Speedster. I think it's an absolutely fantastic looking little roadster. Is likely to be quite a scary one though when I have finished with it, because well, from standard it doesn't really have very much in the way of horsepower, well, if any, basically. It starts off with, we have to go into one of these, I think we are, 60 horsepower. And that's it. One of the least powerful cars in the game, 81 foot-pounds of torque. However, it is very light, 1,676 pounds. So, yeah, from standard, it is a lightweight, relatively low-powered roadster. And I'm going to be dropping into it the 3-litre flat 6. Now, it could go for the V8 racing engine. It's a decent engine. Don't get me wrong, the flat 6, though, will get a little bit more power. And for this one, I think we're going to stick with a Porsche engine. So, yeah, we're going to go for the flat 6. Admittedly, it does weigh slightly more in this car. The V8 is actually slightly lighter than the standard engine, as is you could go for the flat 4, but we're going to go with the flat 6. We're also going to give it twin turbos. Just what this little Porsche needs is a twin turbo flat 6. Now, as much as I hate to do this to a classic car, we are going to have to go for the Forza aero bits. I'm going to need every single possible bit of downforce and grip helping parts that I can get on the vehicle if I want to possibly keep this in a straight line. We saw with the Porsche 944 that had going to have less power than this thing did, was going to be considerably heavier, so there's a bit more stability in theory in the 944. It's going to have much wider tyres, because we're already going to get 215s on the front of this. Please be bigger than 245, but I very highly doubt it. 225. Right, we're going to spin the wheels for days in this. The 944 was on the relatively controllable side, in all honesty. This, I fear, again, I could be wrong, we could end up with an absolute monster that will fly around the track. I suspect, though, that it will try and murder me at every possible opportunity. Potential for rolling over as well. While, yes, it is a very, very low car, these sort of small vehicles with high grip, I mean, when you've got full race tyres and so on, yeah, relatively high grip, I think rolling could potentially be an issue with this vehicle. We will have to wait and see, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this upside down in the gravel trap at turn 1. I'm going to do my very best not to put it there, but it's one of those things that can happen. We could have some big issue with the curbs. Again, tiny lightweight car with a huge amount of power, the curbs are likely to be ferocious. So yeah, we may have some issues there. I wonder how light we can get the car down to. Yes, the roll cage is going to only add 73 pounds to the weight. It's kind of how many stages of weight reduction can we do? We can do 2. It gets out 200 pounds. We're down to 1,808 pounds. The likes of the exhaust and the air intake, those parts are going to reduce some weight as well, although turbos and intercoolers and so on, they will increase weight, so we're probably likely to see it finish off at about 1,900 pounds, depending on how heavy those parts are. PI wise, well, we are still gaining PI, which is a good sign. With some cars, when you start getting too powerful, you can add these parts on and make absolutely no difference to the PI, because it just makes the car so difficult to drive because they have far too much power for their own good that they can cause issues. But this is still increasing in PI. The weight stands 1,700. The exhaust did save quite a lot of weight. It often saves a decent amount. That was a very helpful amount for the little Porsche. Yeah, as the power creeps up, I'm getting a little bit more scared by this car with every upgrade. I suspect many a sideways moment will be had. We might not be able to go to full throttle around the course of the lap. I'd be very surprised if we could. In all honesty, 150 horsepower added by the turbos. We're up to 817 horsepower in a car that weighs 1,700 pounds. This is going to jump the weight up. Not as much as I thought it would, though. 1,817 with the intercooler on. Do we have the oil and cooling? Yeah, this will probably do some as well. It does actually lower the PI slightly. It increases power, also increases weight. I'm going to go for it, though. On here. So, 861 horsepower. That's a lot. That's a lot in a car that weighs 1,836 pounds. Sideways, I suspect a lot of the time, and I very, very highly doubt we will get this car to full throttle at any point during the lap. You never know, but it's likely to be scary, this one. So, of course, to test out the Porsche, we have come to the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, where it will get 6 laps to go as fast as possible. Our current leader is the Lancia Beta race car with a time of 49.8, a time that I suspect we're not going to have the control to be able to get particularly near. It's surprisingly well launched off of the line there. That was yeah, it got going pretty well. Oh, that curb. Let's not play with the curbs too much. I suspect we could have some issues. Oh, we may have overshot the first corner a little bit. Sometimes it's actually not that bad, and certainly we've seen with some of the lap times. Oh, that's not good. Certainly we've seen with some of the lap times that if you run a little bit wide through turn 1, if you kind of cut back on the exit, you do avoid the puddle, and you can get a pretty good run down towards the next corner. So it's not necessarily terrible news. I mean, you don't particularly want to be aiming to do that, but you can recover it if you do. We had a very strange moment coming out of that turn 2, though. It kind of felt a bit like a jelly car. We lost steering again. Yeah, it feels like it's picking up a front wheel. Coming around those corners, not quite sticking in the air like a jelly car would. Jesus, this thing, once it can get the power down, holy crap, is it fast. But it is having some issues getting said power down. Yeah, the front wheel, oh, no, I was pushing it a little too hard on the exit. We brushed the curb that time. That is not something that we want to be doing again. Are we going to do it again around here? Yeah, okay, right. When we're going on the power, the car... It's not quite lifting a wheel up into the air, but it's certainly unloading the front suspension, and in doing so, we lose all the steering, and that is not good. Ooh, I actually had a wheel on the grass, managed to get off the grass before the corner. Oh, he's doing it again there. Every time I go to try and carry corner speed, as I try and get on the throttle a little bit through some of these sort of medium speed turns, the front just wants to lift up. Okay, we've got it out of there cleanly, and I'm waiting. Oh, that's a bit of a bobble down there. Oh, we're trying to do bloody wheelies in the Porsche. This is a scary thing to drive. This is rear-engined? I think I might be right in saying this is rear-engined, and that would explain why we're getting all of these handling problems, come to think of it. Yeah, all of the weight is over the back of the car. So as we go to get out of these corners, I go to put the power down, the weight transfer, it wants to lift the front of the car up into the air. And that's not a good thing. It's not quite full-on wheeling, this vehicle. I suspect with drag tyres in the dry, it wouldn't be that hard to get it to do, considering the amount of movement. It's not quite like the stadium super trucks. It's not bloody far off, though, the amount of movement that I'm getting in here. And that would explain the handling around these corners as we go to get on the power, that weight transfer, and with me steering the car, it just wants to stick that front in the air. And again, down here, across those bumps, we saw that the 944 had problems with oversteer down there. This is having problems with wanting to wheelie. It is stupendously fast, considering the amount of issues I'm having with this car. Oh, things have gone wrong! Things have gone wrong big time. Oh, no. I knew it might do that. I knew we could have this as an issue. And, oh, there we go. We're back on our wheels. I thought I'd got a really good line through turn 1, and I realised at the last second that my line, there was a slight issue with said line, and I didn't have time to react to it, and I just hoped that we weren't going to roll, but no, my initial suspicions were indeed correct for this car. It will most definitely roll off of these horrible, horrible curbs. Right. Oh no, don't do that. I've somehow got away twice with having a wheel on the grass. I've realised quick enough and steered out of it. As I was saying before, I got rudely distracted by rolling. This thing is monstrously fast in a straight line. Considering the fight we have to do, I can't even get a decent amount of throttle down until sort of about here. When I do, we can still hit 100. We got 155 last time. I obviously did a better job last time. I think I might have braked a little bit later as well. You can get 155 down there. That's only 5 miles an hour down on the fastest car, the 250 LM, down that section. And that was a hell of a lot easier to get out of the final turn. That was a much nicer car to get out of that last turn. This is seriously quick accelerating, of course, with so much power and so little weight. In fact, the rear engine does not help with the handling, but it does help with the traction. That might explain why this car can go to full throttle, despite the very, very small tyres. Normally cars with these smaller tyres, you're not going to get to full throttle, not with this much power. We've seen it countless times with the vehicles around here. But because this is a rear engine, it's got all that weight over the back. While it screws it over massively with these corners, it really is horrible. The traction is very, very good, which means we can get the car to full throttle, briefly. 152 that time, and then a manic jump on the brakes. The problem is this handling is so difficult. I don't think we're going to be able to go faster. As I went to turn into that first corner, it was all getting unhappy. I tried to correct it, and in doing so, I just wasted so much time. We didn't have the vehicle try and cart me off the track, no, but we lost a whole heap of time. And again, around there, it's just wanting to lift the front wheels up into the air, which is not what you want. You can get away with it. The stadium super trucks, they can do it. This, no, not so much. Yeah, we're 8 tenths of a second down from that first corner. We might be able to make up sometime through here. Oh, this is a tough one to drive. This is a really tough one to drive. Betrayed by the engine layout slightly. It's just too awkward across these bumps. We will get a good run towards the line. It is quick up there. It wasn't a particularly good final sector either. 54.3 is as good as I can manage from the Porsche. It's it's a crazy contraption. There's just too much weight at the back of this car, and the front wants to lift up, making it nigh on undrivable with this much power in these conditions. For the 60 horsepower car that it would be fine. When it has near a 900 horsepower, that's when you have some issues. I am sorry, Porsche, you are a little bit dinged, a little bit scratched from that from that tumble. The time for the car, though, that 54.3, will put it into 20th place. It is down towards the bottom. Amusingly, it does beat the Volkswagen camper van, only fractionally, though. We are not talking very much between those two. It is a couple of tenths down on the Lancia Stratos. The Stratos had its own suspension issues around here. We are a fair way down on the rest of the leaderboard. While the traction is better than to be expected, those handling quirks make it a real handful around this particular circuit. However, up next we're going to see how fast it goes in a straight line, and that is somewhere I think this Porsche could be pretty damn impressive. Of course, to find out just how quick this Porsche will go, we have come to the Le Mans circuit, where I do have some fears. Well, yeah, I suspect this is going to be a mighty fast car, judging by that acceleration that we had going on. 234 miles an hour, it reckons. I suspect we will get to it quite quickly. The downside with this car is, as quick as it feels, accelerating and so on, we do have the issue that we simply don't have the power. We don't have the 1,200 horsepower that we have seen in the likes of the Ferrari 250 LM. And as a fantastic, streamlined shape as this car is, I'm not sure it's not quite going to be enough to overcome that almost 300 horsepower that we are lacking. 240 is looking about what we can possibly expect from this car at best. That is still very, very fast. My fear for the Porsche is control. As quick accelerating as this vehicle is, and we can actually put the power down pretty well in the dry here. We'll get up to 150 miles an hour and so on very quickly. The wheeling and the wanting to lift these front wheels up into the air, that could be problematic. We saw what happened with the Lotus 11 or when I ran down the straight. That thing bounced. Admittedly, that was going higher speed than this when it hit the bumps, but this has got worse weight distribution than the Lotus. This is kind of throwing itself up into the air a lot more readily than that Lotus was. So we may have problems. We may possibly have issues. Let's wait and see, though. What happens with this? That is where... Okay, fortunately, the issues I had going into that corner meant we missed the worst of the bumps. So that's a thing at least. Oh, the acceleration is phenomenal if I can ever get any steer. God, this is awful. He just spends so much time with the front of the car in the air that I can't steer it to avoid the walls. That's really annoying. Now we are on a straight bit. We're doing 230 miles an hour. Now the bumps don't really kick in until the end of the straight. And I fear for my life coming through the King. I think this is going to have a humongous accident. 237, 238 miles an hour. Come on, I'd like 240 out of you, Porsche. Can we get any more, though? 239. Come on, one more. Just a little bit more. 240. It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. Oh, things have gone wrong big time. Oh, come on, save it. I'm going to overcorrect it, I think, and go for the spin that way. Oh, and under control. That's kind of what I expected from the Porsche. That may be the biggest accident I think I've had there, and managed to keep it out of the barriers. That was massive shunts. I say massive shunt, it was a massive spin. We didn't actually hit anything. Yeah, it doesn't like the bumps. I thought the 944 was quite bad across there. There's nothing compared to this. It just gets fired in the air. The weight distribution is so wonky that when you try and put near enough 900 horsepower through it, it can't deal with it. That's not surprising, really. When you think about it, a sports car designed for 60 horsepower, and you give it that much horsepower with a rear engine and such a tiny wheelbase, yeah, problems were always likely to rear their head with it. An interesting challenge, certainly. The acceleration is incredible in this because it is so light, and that rear engine placement does help give it traction. It is, mighty fast accelerating, but quite scary when we get it up to higher speeds, and when we corner at higher speeds, and certainly when we hit bumps at high speeds, we do a little bit of flying with the car. Anyway, its straight line speed is fairly respectable. It puts the car into 9th place on the table. It beats the Lancia Stratos, the Challenger Hellcat, and so on. It is a little bit down, though, on the Ford GT40, the Dodge Daytona, the Pontiac Firebird. Those were all cars with more horsepower than this one. While it is, it's a good aerodynamic shape and so on, it does still lack a little bit of horsepower that some of those other cars had, and it does lack quite a lot of the control they had when it comes to cornering. I've never had a car have so many issues getting onto the Le Mans straight. But there we go. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.